Hey guys, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the session on Roadmap to 99 percentile for CAT 2024. So guys, this is the end of the month of March. The CAT exam is nearing. We have another probably 7 months or 8 months. November last Sunday is going to be your CAT exam. So let's go ahead and take a look at how should one target 99 percentile. And if your target is 99 percentile to get in CAT 2024, what are the things that one should go ahead, a student should go ahead and do over the next 7-8 months? So with that in mind, let's start off with the session today. Okay, so we're going to start with CAT modalities, understanding a little bit about the CAT dates. We will talk very important part of CAT analytics, because if you want to crack the CAT exam, you have to know what is this exam all about, what is being tested in this exam. In maths, what is very important, in DILR, what is very important, in English, what is very important. Because remember guys, this is not like a school exam. In your school exam, what happens, you'll by heart everything and go, and some questions will come out of it. It cannot be done with that kind of an approach. Here, if you're going to crack CAT, you have to understand the nature of this exam and prepare accordingly. Because if you say, I'm going to prepare everything, that is nearly impossible. So let's go ahead and take a look at how can a student with a limited amount of preparation still aim to get a 99 percentile. And that is what I'm going to tell you today. Okay, then we will talk about, based on what you understood on what needs to be prepared, we are going to talk about the study plan. So first we will understand what to study, then we will plan the studying part. So for the next 7 months, what should you do? Next 8 months, what should you do? How should your day be? What subjects and when should you prepare them? So entire study plan I'm going to discuss. And finally, if the time permits, we will solve few actual CAT questions. Okay, so let's move on and take a look at the CAT modalities. Firstly, CAT exam 2024 is likely to be conducted by Calcutta. Now, what does it mean anything? Frankly, for a student who's focused on CAT, this does not mean anything, should not mean anything. Whether it's a Calcutta, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, you know, when you go online, a lot of people say, oh, Bangalore, so this kind of paper will come. Calcutta, this kind of paper will come. Guys, that's of no use to you. Your preparation should be according to the CAT overall strategy. So we will see what happened in the last 5 years, and we will be able to understand that there is a pattern irrespective of who is conducting these exams, which IIM is conducting the exam. Therefore, the pattern is which is very consistent, and you have to focus on cracking that pattern, right? So don't waste your time on what will happen if Calcutta conducts the exam. So leave that out to somebody else, people who are people who are going to worry about it and fall behind in the race. You don't want to be one such person, so forget about that. Then we're going to talk about the CAT exam. The date is going to be November 24th. Now I'm 100% sure that this is the date. How am I so sure? Because CAT is always conducted on the last Sunday of November. On the last Sunday of November. So if that is the case, then 24th November happens to be the last Sunday. So therefore, that is going to be your exam in November. CAT 2024 will be conducted in test centers spread across 155 cities. Good for you. The more the centers, the less you'll have to go further away from your home, right? So that's what it is. Now let's take a look at the CAT paper pattern. Now, CAT paper pattern over the last 3 years has not changed. 2021, 2022, 2023, paper pattern is more or less the same. So let's take a look at what happened in the CAT exam. So the CAT exam has 3 parts to it. The first part is English, which is called as VA, verbal ability, and RC, reading comprehension. The second part is data interpretation, DI, and logical reasoning, LR, or otherwise called as DILR section. And the third section is quantitative ability, QA. These are the 3 sections that appear to you in your CAT exam. Now the important part to notice and understand about these 3 parts is all the 3 parts appear in the exact same order. This is always section number 1, which means when the CAT exam starts, Your first question happens to be VARC, and you will have the time as 40 minutes for this entire section. So you will be given 40 minutes to answer all the questions in this section. How many questions are there? You will have totally 24 questions. Now, some of you might say, what happens if I finish my 24 before 40 minutes? Can I go to the next section? No, you can't. There is no option of going to the next section on your own, which means if you finish everything, put your head down and sleep. Take rest or recheck your answers. Make sure that you didn't make any silly errors. But your timer, which starts with 40 minutes, will have to go to 0. Only then automatically the second section, which is DILR, will start. You can't start the second section before. Now in DILR, once again, the total time is 40 minutes for you, and you will have total of 20 questions. In fact, to be very honest, the timer starts with 120 minutes, and at 80 minutes the second section will start. Right? It doesn't start from 40 to 0, 40 to 0. It doesn't go that way. It starts with 120. So from 120, first 40 minutes is 80. From 80, the next 40 minutes is 40. So the third section starts when the timer shows 40. So the total time for the third section is also 40. So effectively 3 40-minute sections. Total time is 120 minutes. And what happens in the third section, quantitative ability? Total 22 questions and 40 minutes. Now, is it possible to go from the third section to the second section? No, you can't. Once the section is closed, you can't go back to that section. There is no option of going back to the section at all. Clear? So each section is for 40 minutes. Total exam is for 120 minutes, 40 into 3. Next. Now, what are the type of questions? There are broadly 2 types of questions that are asked in CAT exam. One is called MCQ, which is multiple choice questions. The other is called TITA, which is type in the answer, sometimes also called as short answer. So what happens in MCQ? MCQ is a type of question where you are all known, it's objective. So there will be question number 1. If I say 3 plus 4 into 2 minus 3 plus 7 is equal to what? Now there can be 4 options, or there will be 4 options, A, B, C, D. So option A will be 14 minus 3, 11 plus 7, let's call it as 18. Option B, 15. Option C, 12. And option D, 20. So if these are the 4 options available to you, now the question is, what is the correct answer? Now, if you know the idea of Bordermas rule in maths, you know that the correct answer happens to be 15, because the multiplication happens first. The minus 3 plus 3 gets anyway cancelled, so it is 8 plus 7, 15. So the correct answer has to be 15. This is the type of question which is MCQ. Obviously, nobody is going to ask you such a simple question. I have just used it as an example. But then what is a theta? How is it different? Because MCQ you all know. In MCQ, there will be 4 options, whereas in theta, there will be no option. For example, same question if I take 3 plus 7 into 2 minus 3 plus 8. Okay. Excuse me. So if this is a question, now there are no options. So what happens when there are no options? You are supposed to type. There is a box that will be present or given to you below the question. You are supposed to type the value of the answer. Only the number has to be typed. So once again, minus 3 plus 3 gets cancelled. 14 plus 8, here the answer is 22. So you are supposed to type the answer 22 and move to the next. So such kind of a question is called theta. Now, the important part is, MCQs. If you get it correct, you will get 3 marks. If you get it wrong, you will get -1 mark. So correct, wrong, and if you leave it, no answer, then you'll get 0 marks. Whereas in theta, if you get correct, you will get 3 marks. If you make a mistake, you will get 0 marks. There is no negative marking for theta. And if you don't know and leave the answer blank, you will again get 0. So the difference between MCQ and theta in marking scheme is it is +3 for both if you get it right. But if you get it wrong, there is a negative mark in options, whereas there is no negative mark in your short answer or theta questions. Now the logic for this is very simple. In MCQs, Bhagwan Barose ABCD, one of them you can get by random marking correct, because there is a 25% chance of you getting correct, 1/4, 1 out of 4. So the examiner says, look, if you should not guess randomly. If you guess randomly, there is a risk of you getting -1. Whereas in theta, there are infinite numbers. Only one number is correct answer. So practically, for the chance of you guessing the correct answer is 0. In such a case, they will say, I will not penalize you for randomly guessing, because it's almost impossible to guess that one correct number out of infinite numbers, which means the only way in which you can get the correct answer is if you do the question correctly. Therefore, in case you get any silly mistakes or something like that, you are not going to be penalized. That is the logic here. Okay. Now, so what is going to happen in CAT 2024? We expect more or less, at least I personally expect the paper pattern to remain the same. It will not change much. It will be plus or minus 1 mark question. So it will not change. By the way, before we move on, last year the number of MCQs have to be noted by you. 20 questions were MCQs from English and 4 questions were theta in English. 12 questions were MCQ in DILR and 8 questions were theta in DILR. Similarly, 14 QA and 8 theta in QA. So this is the breakup. Usually they keep it the same. Last 2-3 years they kept it the same. It didn't change much. Okay. So let's move ahead and take a look at the expectation. The expectation, I'm expecting the number of questions to remain more or less the same. It's not going to change much. I believe last year this became 5 4s are 20, but the number of questions remained the same. It didn't change. Okay. Now, what are the important dates? The first important date is your July month. This is when actually official notification will be published in the newspapers. Now, there will be, usually the CAT notification is coming out in almost all the newspapers. So, CAT 2024 notification date comes in one of the last 2 days of July. Every year that is the same. And once the notification has come out in the last 1 or 2 days, for the first 10 days, the registration in any one of these days, the registration starts. I'm not saying that registration is only for 10 days. No, I'm saying one of these 10 days it will start. Okay, but when will it end? The registration date ends somewhere in the month of September. So July, August and September, somewhere in September it will end. Okay, so somewhere in the mid of September the registration will end and they will start allowing you to make any corrections if you made any mistakes in the application form. That's it. Then there is something going to be called as a admit card and a sample mock. Sample mock is they will give you a sample of the paper, how you can expect the paper to be, the interface to be, where will be the next button, where will be the back button, how will the timer look, all look and feel of it. Now people who have written already once, it is the same. For example, if you're writing BYJU'S exam prep mocks, they're exactly the same as the CAT exam. So if you write our mocks, you'll know exactly how the interface will be. You don't have to wait for it. But otherwise, those of you who are not with us, you can look at the sample mock and understand how the interface is going to be. Okay, and then the admit card will be released in the last week of October, and November last Sunday is going to be your CAT exam. So November 24th happens to be a Sunday. There is no more Sunday after this because November has only 30 days. Had there been 31 days, then Sunday would have been 31st, but that's not the case. So you will end up with the exam on Sunday. Okay. Now let us understand what is the score required. By the way, what is the total number of marks? Remember, you have 22 questions in quant, 20 questions in DILR, 24 questions. So this is quant. I'm writing it in the reverse order. This is the third section, second section DILR, and first section verbal ability and reading comprehension. Total 66 questions. So 66 questions, each 3 marks, you have a total of 198 marks. You have a total of 198 marks. Out of 198, if you can look at 2023, approximately 100 marks, 107, 108 marks gave you 99.9 percentile, which means you will get calls from every institute that is out there in terms of the IIMs. 99.9, you'll get almost all calls. Okay. Now, if you look at 99 percentile, you have to be 99 means you are in the top 1%. You'll be called as a topper. Anybody in this range and above will be called as a topper. So 99, absolute top 1 percentile, you need only 76 marks. It's less than half of what is the total marks. 98, half is 99 marks. You need way less than half the score to be called as a topper in all the 3 sections put together. If you're targeting something like 90 percentile, you just need 45 marks. What is 45 marks, guys? 45 by 3 is 15. You need, of all the questions, 66 questions, you need only 15 questions to be correct without any errors. That is what will be giving you a 90. And if your target is 80 percentile, then you need only 34 marks, which is about 11 questions correct. 33, let's say 12 questions correct. You need 12 questions correct. That's all. So people worry about CAT, oh, it's so difficult, I have to get so many marks. Actually, no. Nobody is telling you that you have to get your full marks. Remember, in your school, in your college, if you don't get full marks, the chance of you being the top will be very less, because everybody gets a full score in your school or college, or at least quite a few people get out of 25, 24, 23, out of 100, 95, 96, 90s. A lot of people get those kind of marks. Here, I'm talking about half, 50%, and you'll be called as the college topper. Imagine that. So that's how different, not difficult, different the CAT exam is. Why is it so different? Is it because it is difficult? No. The answer is no. The reason why people don't get score is because they don't know what to prepare properly. They think everything is equally important, so they waste their time on a lot of things which are unnecessary. So in this session, I'm going to talk about the things which are actually important, which will actually help you get the score that you want without wasting your time on unnecessary things. Right? Okay, let's move on. So now that you understood what is the score all about, let's dive into each section and try to understand what are the important things in every section. We'll start with the section number 1, which is VARC, that is verbal ability and reading comprehension. What are the most important things in this particular section? Now, how do I say that? First, we will understand what happens in this section. VARC section has a total of 24 questions. Usually, 24 questions. Usually, if you notice, the last 3 years, 23, 22, 21, RC has been 16 questions. And verbal ability have been 8 questions. Now, first of all, what is RC? What is verbal ability? Now, RC, I'm sure you all know, but I'll just explain very quickly. It is a passage given to you. It will probably have 600, 700 words, 5 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs of information, passage given to you, and it is followed by 4 or 6 questions, sometimes 5 questions, whatever, that are asked based on the passage given to you. So RC, I'm sure you all would have done it as a kid in your school. But here, the level of RC, which means the English used in the RC, the topic which is going to be coming to you in the RC, and the kind of questions that come will be far superior to what you have done in your school level. See, in your school, what happens? Little Red Riding Hood is going to her grandmother's house. Then there is a fox and so on and so forth. The story goes. The first question, where was Little Red Riding Hood going? The answer is she was going to visit her grandmother's house. That's how simple it was. Here, it's not going to be so simple. Here, firstly, it is not going to be a very nice story for you. They will talk about topics like anthropology. They will talk about topics like biology. They will talk about topics like science and technology. They will talk about topics like literature. They will talk about topics like psychiatry and psychology, which will be very difficult to understand. And the questions will also not be very straightforward for you to understand. Now, is it very, very difficult? Not really. For people who are not used to reading, it will be very difficult. If you are a person who's used to at least 5-6 months of reading habit, this will become from difficult level, it will come down to moderate level. Okay, now people cry a lot about English, saying that it's very difficult. Only those people cry who don't have the habit of reading. You are dead for CAT, English especially, if you don't have the habit of reading. So this is the month of March. You have 7 months more before the CAT exam. It is the perfect time for you to start building the habit of reading. What should you read? Start with newspapers and not Times of India. Ideally, I would say, had you had 2 years or 1.5 year time, I would say start with any book or any novel. You only have about 7 months left. So I will not say waste your time reading books and novels. No, I would say straight away start with a paper like a Mint or a Hindu, for that matter, whichever you like, or a business, Economic Times, or whatever else it is, but not a masala newspaper. Read the editorials, read the front page news, read the sports section, especially the economic section which comes before the sports section, right? And read the finance news if you can. So start reading. Initially it will all look like Greek and Latin because you are not used to the terms, but as you keep reading slowly and steadily for the first 1.5-2 months, don't say I read for 5 days, nothing happened. Nothing will happen. Please remember, guys, you want to run a marathon. You never ran in your life. First day, second day, third day, you'll be able to run not more than probably a kilometer. If you do run a kilometer itself, that's a great thing. 10 days also, you will not go more than 1.5-2 kilometers. Marathon is 41 kilometers or 42 kilometers. So if you want to have that target, steadily you have to keep increasing. In 10 days, you say, I'm not able to go more than 2 kilometers, I will give up. Then whose fault is it? It is yours, because in your entire life, you didn't do anything. Similarly, if you're starting today in terms of reading, it will take you a minimum 2.5 to 3 months for you to see the effect. So every day you keep reading, after 3 months, you will start seeing the effect of this continuous preparation. Okay. Now, what is verbal ability then? Verbal ability consists of 3 parts. One is para jumbles, one is para summary, then odd sentence out, and para completion and fill in the blanks. Okay, so these are the 4 types of questions which combined together are called as verbal ability. So para jumble, you all know, jumbled paragraph. As a kid, you were supposed to rearrange the sentences, which will come first, which will come second. Same thing here. Para summary, you may or may not have done this. Para summary is a paragraph given to you of 5-6 sentences, not big, 5 to 6 sentences, and you're supposed to pick the option which is giving the essence of that 5-6 sentences in 1 or 2 sentences. So it is precis writing without missing anything. The most important part of the paragraph should be captured. It's precis writing, but you're not going to write, you're going to pick the option which is the best precis written format of the summary given to you. Then you have odd sentence out. Odd sentence out is again similar to para jumbles. In para jumbles, you're supposed to arrange the sentences into a meaningful paragraph. In odd sentence out, what happens here is they will give you 6 or 5 sentences. All but one sentence will fit into a paragraph. That one sentence will not fit into the paragraph that you're trying to form. Your job is to identify which sentence is not going to fit into the other sentences given. So that's called as odd para jumble. And finally, sentence completion, or basically para completion. So para completion is you have a paragraph that talking about something, and they'll give you one blank in between or one blank at the end, and there will be 4 options. What is the best sentence that can be put into that fill in the blank, which will continue the tone of the passage, which will continue the story of the passage in the same tone, and it should be meaningful. So that's basically what is called as para completion or fill in the blanks in English. All of these are objective. Clear? Now, so 16 RCs and 8 verbal abilities, this is what has been asked in the last 3 years consistently. Now, what did we learn from RCs? From reading comprehensions, based on the last 6 years of analysis that we did, what we understood is this. 23, so totally there were 56 RC passages that we have analyzed of the last 5-6 years question papers. Out of these 56 passages, 23 passages, that is almost half, about 40-45% of them, they are from books, okay, and from essays called Aeon Essays. It's a source of essays called Aeon, and a New York Times magazine. Now, what books? There are too many books for you to read. You can't read all the books, so keep them aside. But what are the other things which are consistent? Essays from a source called Aeon and the New York Times editorials. So please start reading these whenever you get time, apart from your newspaper, because you need to get used to this language, this high level language, this way of writing and understanding, so that when you come across these kind of things in your exam, it will not look like Greek and Latin to you. Then what are the topics? Well, you know where they're going to come from. What topics are they going to ask you? Typically, we have understood that there are 3 journals that from which the topics have come, and these are sociology and anthropology, one topic; ecology, zoology, biology, science is another topic; philosophy and psychology is another topic. Technology comes but not as often. These are the most often found topics. Now, when I say most often, almost 50% again. What about the other 50%? The other 15% is from all the other topics that you can think of. It can be from sports, it can be from politics, it can be from can be from a book, a storybook, or a novel, anything like that, or a biography. So the rest of the 50% is from any source in the English language, whereas at least 50% we are able to identify are from these topics, which means if you don't like sociology, you have no choice. Start reading more of sociology. If you don't like biology or zoology because you're an engineer, you have no choice, because you can expect one passage from there. So start spending more time trying to understand such passages and such articles. If you don't like psychology or philosophy, I don't care. You are supposed to learn because that is expected. So start reading those passages. You will not understand in the beginning, I know. But if you read 25 passages, you read 50 passages, you read 100 passages, slowly your tolerance for such a passage will increase. So you will not sleep next time when you read it. And at the same time, your understanding prowess or the ability for you to understand these will slowly start increasing. It will not happen with 1 or 2 passages. You have to, I am talking about 40, 50, 100 level passages, 100 types of passages from these topics. That should be your target. Okay. Now verbal ability we will just skip, because what we understood, the essence of what we are saying here is verbal ability has been asked from science and technology, again the same areas, but we were not able to identify the source. We could not, and frankly we have analyzed it for the last 5 years. We cannot say that these have come from these places only. So what we found, we could find every passage, every question that has been asked in the sources outside, but each one is from a different source. Unlike the New York Times, they're saying that so many came from New York Times, so many came from Aeon magazines, Aeon essays. My verbal ability, we were not able to pinpoint it only to 1 or 2 sources. It's basically sometimes they'll give from this book, sometimes they'll give from that essay, sometimes they'll give from this literature, sometimes they'll give from that particular magazine. There's so many things that I cannot mention all of them here. So it's all over the place. However, the topics are again consistent, with only 1 or 2 topics being added onto the top. Now, what is the score that you need in English? Remember, English, there are 24 questions into 3. So this is 72 marks. If you want to be a topper, top 1%, you need to get 40 marks out of 72, which means 14 questions correct. Okay, 14 questions correct without any mistakes. Normally, nobody gets 100% accuracy in English. Let us assume that there is a 3/4, which is 75% accuracy. 75% accuracy means 3 you will get correct, 1 you will get wrong out of 4 questions. So you should get a net of 41 marks. So your target should be around 20 questions, 20 to 21 questions, out of which about 16 are correct and 4 are wrong. 16 corrects and 4 wrong, 4 to 5 wrong, 4 or 5 wrong, and you will end up with the net score of 40 marks. Okay, so nobody is saying you have to answer all 24. Your target should be 20 to 21. So you can leave 3 questions which are very, very difficult. The others you should be, if you want to be a topper. But if you want to be a 80 percentile, which is basically 6 corrects. But again, nobody gets all corrects. So I'm talking about 10 attempts. You'll get about 7 corrects, 3 wrong. You'll get your 18 marks. So depending upon where you want to be, what score you're aiming for, your number of questions to be attempted will actually start coming down. Okay, let's move on to the second section, which is DILR. Now, if you talk about data interpretation and logical reasoning, there are totally, if you can see, 18 topics. Now, I will make your life easy. We again analyzed the last 5 years to 6 years papers, and what we found is very, very interesting. There are 18 topics. However, only 6 topics are important for you. Only 6 topics are important for you. Throw the other topics out, don't bother. You can end up getting what you want. Let us see what are these 6 topics. First topic is reasoning based DI. Second is matrix and grid. Third is matrix arrangement. Fourth is Venn diagram. Fifth, scheduling and matrix. And sixth, games and tournaments. Now these 6, if you prepare thoroughly and forget all the other 12 topics, I am asking you only 33% topics to preparation. I can guarantee you guys, I can assure you, you will get a 99 percentile. Guaranteed. But you have to thoroughly prepare these. Okay. So why am I saying that you can do that? Just take a look at it. Because out of the 20 questions, which is 60 marks, if you want to be a topper, 99 percentile, you need around 9 to 10 questions net. Net means 9 to 10 corrects without mistakes. But again, realistically speaking, nobody gets all correct. I mean, nobody means there will be obviously a lot of toppers, 5, 10 people, 20 people who are not making any mistakes. But usually an above average student gets 80% plus accuracy. 80% more than 80% accuracy in DILR. It is not like English, so the accuracy will be better. So 80% accuracy you can get, which means out of your 20 questions, your target should be 14 to 15 questions. If you attempt 14 to 15, you will get about 11 corrects and 2 or 3 wrong. 2 or 3 wrong. So you will end up getting your close to 28-29 marks, which is your target. If you look at it, 27, 28, 29, 2021 you wanted 33 marks because the paper was slightly easier, but last 2 years the paper was slightly difficult. So 33, 34 if you're keeping as a target, 11 correct, 2, 3 wrongs. Actually you need to, in that case, if you want to go 33 marks, then 12 corrects, 2, 3 wrong, which means you should be attempting 14 to 15. So this is exactly what you want, not this. If 33 is your total target, to be on the safe side. But if you borderline topper, then you can look at 11 correct and 2, 3 wrongs. Okay, clear? Okay. Next is the third section, the quantitative ability, QA. When you're looking at QA, once again, QA has, broadly speaking, 5 big areas. What are the 5 areas? Arithmetic, algebra, geometry and mensuration, number theory or number systems, and modern math. These are the 5 questions or 5 broad areas that are there in your quant. What is modern math? For those of you who don't know, modern math is permutation and combination, probability, set theory, and again Venn diagrams. This is called as your modern math. Now again, I will make your life easier. Don't prepare all 5. I will tell you the top 2 topics to prepare. Again, why am I saying so? Because we have done this analysis. You can see here, out of the 22 questions, you can see that last year, almost 15 questions guys, 15 questions came from 2 topics. Before year, 13 questions, 12 questions minimum came from these 2 topics. Before this, again 13 questions. Before that, 16 questions. So you can see that if you prepare these 2 topics thoroughly, 13-14 questions are within your reach for attempting. Okay. Now, if you say that you want one more topic in maths, you can add either geometry or you can add number system. Ideally, I would say please prefer geometry, because you can see the number of questions is about 3 minimum every year. 3 questions come for sure. You prepare these 3 guys, you can throw this out. Some of you are not from maths background. Sir, I don't know probability, I don't know permutation, I am very scared of Venn diagrams. Good, don't worry, don't bother. You prepare arithmetic, algebra, geometry and mensuration, enough. Your job is done. What is arithmetic? Arithmetic is time and distance, time and work, profit and loss, averages, mixtures and allegations, ratios, SICI and percentages. Unfortunately, I cannot ask you to leave any topic in arithmetic. Arithmetic you have to prepare fully. Now you might ask me, if you notice, only 10 questions are coming from percentages. There are 23 questions that have come from time and distance over the last 3-4 years, which means definitely time and distance is more important. Then why should I prepare percentages? Because time and distance, the topic cannot be solved without understanding percentages, ratios, averages, profit and loss, all of this. So if you want to go for time and distance, you have to understand all these basics. And they are all interlinked. Arithmetic is all interlinked. Hence I say, don't leave anything in your arithmetic. It is a must for all of you. Okay. However, when it comes to algebra, I'll make your again life easier. Algebra has a lot of difficult topics for non-math students from the commerce background, arts background, medicine background. There are certain topics like higher order equations, polynomials, special equations, inequalities. All these are difficult topics. You can leave all of them. Algebra, while I said algebra you have to prepare, I will again make your life easier. Prepare only 5 topics in algebra. What are these 5? Quadratic equations, sequence and series, logarithms, functions, linear equations. These are the 5 topics you prepare in algebra. That is enough. You don't have to prepare entire algebra also. So first of all, I am reducing total maths 5 topics to 2 or probably 3. In that also, arithmetic, yes, full, but algebra I am bringing down only to 5. Now let's look at your geometry. In geometry, these are all the topics. You have to prepare area and volumes, triangles, circles, coordinate geometry and polygons. So if you notice, these are the topics that you have to prepare. In fact, geometry I will say don't leave anything per se, because there have been questions coming in. Of course, the most important is triangles, but if you take triangles out, almost everything is equally important. So I would say geometry, if you're preparing, please prepare thoroughly. Don't leave anything. Okay, don't expect that you can leave so many things also. Okay, but again, number theory, modern math and all you can leave because they are not very important. Now let's look at the scores. You have 22 questions into 3 is 66 marks. If you want to be a topper, the first top 10 percentile, last year the paper was very difficult, so 25 marks was enough. But let's look at the last 3 years, not just 1 year, last 1 year. On an average, 33-34 marks was there. Last year was an exception. So let's take a safe bet of 33 marks. 33 marks basically means you will have to get 11 corrects without any mistakes. In maths, people get 90% accuracy. If you're preparing for maths, your English should be the least in terms of accuracy, 75. Your DILR should be higher, 80, 85. Your math should be even more higher, 90. Okay, 90% should be your accuracy, which means you can attempt around 14 questions, 12 correct and 2 wrong, or 13 questions, 11 correct, and actually 11 correct will start going below 30. So let's keep it to 12 correct and 2 wrong. So you will end up getting your 33 plus marks. So you will end up being a topper. Clear? So these are your targets. And these are the topics that you have to prepare. Now, how do we go about preparing this? What should we do in each month? Let's take a look at the action plan now. Okay, so we're going to look at month-wise study plan. So the phase 1, let's start from April, May, 2 months. I'm going to call it as phase 1, foundation and basics. The phase 1 should be conceptual clarity. Leave about the diagnostic test, you can leave it for now, but you will start with all the concepts in all the topics. In 2 months, you will finish arithmetic and algebra. Don't go for the third. I'm starting with quant. Don't go for the third. Arithmetic, algebra, 2 months. Only concepts. Don't worry about high level questions. Don't worry about lengthy questions. Please understand the concepts only. Similarly, if you come to English, understand what are the type of RC passages. What are the type of questions that can be asked. Only concepts. Okay. Similarly, what type of verbal ability questions are there? Concepts. And again, if you come to DILR, what is the meaning of logical based reasoning? What is the meaning of matrix and grid? What is the meaning of matrix and arrangements? Understand the concept. By the end of 2 months, if I give you a question from any of these 3 topics, English, Maths, DILR, you should be able to tell me which subtopic this question has come from. For example, if I give you a Maths question, you will say, sir, this is from arithmetic. It is actually from within arithmetic, it is coming from profit and loss. This is from algebra. From algebra, it is coming from your linear equations. Again, that is the clarity you need. First 2 months. Okay. You will also start looking at daily practice in these months. It is not going to be, again, this is something which I want to advise all of you. Please don't say Saturday, Sunday I will study for 7 hours, weekdays I will not study. It will not work. Every day you study for 2 hours, weekends you study for 4 hours, double, that's it. You don't have to sit the entire day Saturday, Sunday and start preparing. It will not work, it's useless. You study 2 hours every day and study 4 or 5 hours on Saturday and Sunday. So you're talking about 5 into 2, 10 hours, and let's say 4 plus 5, 9 hours. So you're talking about 19 hours every day, every week. And one of the biggest mistakes people do is, sir, today I will not study for 2 hours because I've got a party. Tomorrow I'll study for 4 hours. Please remember, guys, it's a simple logic. If you are hungry today and every day you eat, let's say, 500 grams of rice or chapati or whatever, you eat, your capacity for your food is 500. If you do not eat for 3 days, on the 4th day, probably you can eat, instead of 500, you can probably eat 600, 700. You can't eat 2 kgs on the 4th day saying that I'll cover everything. Your stomach doesn't have the capacity, right? You are hungry, extremely hungry. But instead of that normal 500, you can probably eat 700, 800 at best. 1000 at best. Double it. Nothing more than that. Same is with your brain. Don't say that, sir, this week I will not prepare, I'll relax. Next week I'll prepare everything. It will not work. Your brain and your stomach are similar. Probably one day you miss, next day you'll be able to cover up. But you miss 3 days, over. You miss 3 days in succession, that covering up will never happen. Trust me, I've seen many students miss topics because they thought they'll be able to cover up, but there's no time for them. Okay, so don't fall into that trap. Now, there will not be any mocks typically in the month of April, at least April end the mocks will start. So I didn't talk about mocks, but your phase 2 is where the mocks will start. This is the intermediate level. So you're talking about June and July. In June and July, the mocks should be taken. In fact, the mocks will be starting from May itself. Write 1 or 2 mocks in May, but very seriously, mocks will be started from the month of June. May also please write 1 or 2 mocks, but in June, weekly ones. So in June you take 4 mocks, July you take 4 mocks without fail, and 2 mocks in your May. So totally by the end of your phase 2, you would have written 10 mocks. Very, very important that you need to write 10 mocks by the end of July. And you will now, concepts are done. Now you will start focusing on time management. So earlier, when you're dealing with concepts, a simple question you could have taken 10 minutes, 20 minutes to solve. Now this phase is not about concepts because the concepts are already done. So what is the phase about? This phase is about doing things faster, improving your speed, because you know the knowledge, the theory for it. The practice has to come in now. The speed has to come in now. Getting it? So now it is all about the speed without making errors. And selective study, because you know the concepts, you know which concepts you are strong, which concepts you are weak. So keep making sure that the weak concepts you are pushing a little bit more to make them at least into an average topic. So remember guys, a topic I'm breaking it into good, okay, weak. When you end your preparation, you should have either good or okay. Nothing should be in your weak area. Nothing should be in your weak area. But again, from which topics? The topics that I am discussing till now, like the 5 algebra topics. You leave number theory, fine. The number theory is in your week. I'm okay with you. You don't know number theory. You left it completely. I'm okay. But in the topics that we discussed, that I recommended, in those, you should either have good or okay. Whatever is weak in the second intermediate, start working on it to make them into okay. That is your target. Nothing should be left as a weak topic for you from the important ones that I discussed. Of course, there will be a lot of topics that will be left by you, which I only ask you to leave. That is okay. That is fine. Not a problem for me. And problem solving. You will be solving as many different types and different difficulty levels of problems as possible. Don't restrict to, so you've joined BYJU'S, you take our questions and solve. I will definitely encourage you to write other institute exams also. Go there, write their exams, see how the paper is different. The more you reach out and the more you see a different type of paper, the good for you. Okay? Then phase 3, the advanced practice, August and September. This is where the intense mocks will start. You're going from 4 per month to probably 5 or 6 per month. So in these 2 months, you will write minimum 10, maximum 12 mocks. And now this is the phase of your revision. Because you converted everything into strong or okay areas, there is no weak. It is now going to be continuous revision. Okay, so that you don't forget the concepts. Okay, and you will write all these mocks without any disturbance, exactly like a CAT exam. So you will start writing mocks without the phone beside you. Nobody is going to disturb you. The door will be closed. No disturbances, no breaks. You don't take breaks in the CAT exam. No breaks. No doing the exam in, I'll do half now, half later. No, nothing like that. Continuously sitting for 2 hours. Exactly the way you write an exam. And now you will also start focusing on the previous year question papers. So August and September, you can actually use previous year question paper for your revision. So you can take the last 10 years papers from 2016 onwards. Some beautiful questions have come in the last 10 years. Start solving them. Don't worry about the paper pattern. Your objective is for the questions, not to worry about the paper pattern. Because 2016 pattern, 2017 pattern, 2018 pattern, they are all different. Doesn't matter. You are more concerned about the quality of the questions. Because for the pattern, you are writing the mocks. So don't worry about I am following an old pattern. You are going there for the question, not for the pattern in the previous papers. Okay. Then the final push, This is your, this is what, August, September, yes. So now October, November. October, November, almost except for the last 1 or 2 weeks. The final push, fine tuning your strategies. You would have written enough mocks. You know what is working, what is not working. Your mentors will be there. We will be there guiding you on what should the strategies be. From BYJU'S exam prep, we'll be conducting a lot of strategy sessions telling you what should be the normal strategy, and if it is not working for you, you can reach out to your mentor. Okay. We will also train you. By then we will have sessions on how to do a CAT analysis. You would be doing a lot of analysis in these months, understanding where you're going wrong, strategically where you're going wrong, and correcting those. And of course, last minute revisions. As I said, make sure that you don't forget the topics that you have learned. So revision will always be there. Okay. And the last 1 or 2 weeks, final weeks, I told you previous is till mid of November, last 1 week or last 10 days. Consolidation, basically, again, nothing but another revision. You will be relaxed. You will not take any more stress. In the month of November, first 10 days, November 1st to November, let's say 15th, you can write 2 or 3 mocks, even 4 mocks. I'm okay with it. But November 15th to November 20th, probably write 1 or 2 mocks. After 20th, no mocks, 0. 21, 22, 23, 24. Last 4 days, don't write any mock. You are supposed to relax. You have done enough preparation for 8 months. Have the confidence that whatever you prepared for 8 months, you will not forget in 4 days. At the same time, does not mean that you party for 4 days. What I mean is, relax, just do a light reading. Keep reading a newspaper here and there. That's it. Keep your mind relaxed. Right? And write your mocks, but not in the last 5 days, 4 days. Clear? So this is basically what I have in store for you, my friends. I think time is up. It's already 7. So I hope you got an idea of what is expected to be happening in your CAT 2024. What are the most important topics? And these topics, what is the logic with which I have come out and said these are important? You have seen my analysis. We have put which year papers we have analyzed. And I've also spoken about how should you go about making a plan, broad plan, right? So if you really enjoyed this, please if you are on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and make sure that you are tuned into our channel, because we're going to come back to you with a lot of sessions. If you are attending this from our app, please make sure that you follow the notifications on the app, because we're going to come back to you with a lot of sessions. Thank you, my friends, and have a wonderful day.